2025, KERA traveled down to Round Top, Texas for the second annual Round Top Film Festival. And while we were there, we captured interviews and conversations with some incredibly talented storytellers. Subscribe to the KERA Arts YouTube channel for more original content, panels, and conversations. Paulina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Could you just give us an introduction? Who are you?
Who am I? I am born and raised in Texas, born in El Paso, grew up in San Antonio, and I got into the industry starting in theater in elementary school when I was 7 years old. And from there, now I'm on Landman, on a Taylor Sheridan show. And there's so much more in between.
And we are here at the Round Top Film Festival in Round Top, Texas. And you're on an interesting panel today. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. It's the Rising Star Showcase that we're doing. And we're being honored. And I think that's just like so surreal. I started this journey in acting because I love the craft so much. And I love working with people and being creative and collaborative. Never did I ever think I'd be honored for my work, and so this is just super cool, and for it to be a Texas film festival, it's super cool, and I'm loving this town, Round Top.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's my first time here as well, and I'm loving just walking around and seeing all the shops and stuff like that. How did you start acting? When did you get the acting bug?
Yeah, so when we moved to San Antonio, my mom taught at a school, Sky Harbor Elementary, and our arts teacher started a theater program, and he had been doing it for years. And so I would kind of just hang around after school because my mom was always doing meetings and whatnot. And so I would just roam the halls, and I stumbled into the cafeteria where they were having their rehearsals. And that became my after-school activity, just watching them prepare and then seeing the final product. And that's when I was like, I need to do that. But my grandma would tell you a different story, or would have told you a different story. We would watch telenovelas together all the time. It was just our ritual every day. At 7 p.m. we would start watching telenovelas. And she said that when I was 3 years old that I would sit on her lap and I would be watching the TV, and I would say, yo me voy a ver allí, which means I'm going to see myself on TV. I'm going to see myself there. And she was just super taken aback just because how does a 3-year-old understand the concept of a TV? And she would always tell that story when I started acting.
I love it. So how did you translate into film, like start working in film?
So after elementary, I continued doing theater, but I wanted to do more. I wanted to do film and TV. And so in San Antonio, there wasn't that many acting classes. I would continue doing theater classes just because I wanted to stay creative. And so my mom did a lot of research, and the closest acting class was in Lewisville, Texas, in Dallas.
Wow, in North Texas, yeah.
And so my mom would drive me almost every weekend to get trained, which is like a 5-hour drive. Now we live more into San Antonio, and so now it's a less of a drive. But she would drive me. She believed in me. My dad, in the beginning, was like, y'all are crazy. And then I got an agent, and he was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
What was the first time you were on a film set where you felt the feeling of, oh man, this is a good one, like this is exciting and I'm really happy to be here?
Ooh, I think the first one was like my first job in Texas, not commercials, but it was a series for Rooster Teeth.
The gaming company, right?
Yeah, they were doing their first like live action anything, and it was called Day 5. And basically the premise of it was if you go to sleep, you die. And so it was super fun. In the episode that I was in, I like get attacked by a guy who was obviously going crazy because he hasn't slept. And I got like my artery ripped, and I was just screaming, and you couldn't go to sleep, so they're doing surgery on the table while I'm screaming and shouting.
Sounds horrible, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. I was 14 at the time, and so I was just having a blast. And that's when I knew I was like, this is definitely what I want. I never did I think that I was never going to do this. Even though it's a lot of rejection. You get 100 no's before you hear one yes. I just knew that I wanted to do it.
What do you? I'd be curious about your relationship with San Antonio. What do you love about San Antonio? What makes San Antonio San Antonio?
What makes San Antonio is the culture, the people. I feel like it's such a tight-knit community. I feel like everyone knows everyone, even though it's a really big city now.
It's growing, right?
It's growing so much, but we're all just interconnected. There's so much to love about San Antonio, especially the food. And even though, Ariana says that the Riverwalk is like something's the most magical place ever, I don't know if it's the most magical place ever, but you can have a really good time there and a lot of margaritas.
Funny story. One of my best friends in life, we met on a job in San Antonio, and we just walked along the Riverwalk and nerded out about film. And I'll always just remember, it's such a pleasant place to just be.
It's so peaceful. It's very peaceful. Again, great people. Yeah.
So tell me, how did you end up on Landman? How did that process happen, and what were your feelings when that was coming together?
Yeah, I was in the middle of shooting a movie for Disney Plus, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Road Trip. Very long title. And I just received an audition for it. I knew who Taylor Sheridan was. Obviously, very respected writer and filmmaker. And so reading the sides and reading the character description, I was 20 at the time. Mm-hmm. She's a young widow mother. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Normally, people who book a role like that are in their early 30s, playing young. And so at that point, I was like, this would be like a dream to be able to portray another aspect of my culture that is very important. But I don't think this is going to be for me because I'm so young. And so I just had fun with the audition, and I just loved the depth. I only auditioned with one scene. It was the opening scene. And sure enough, like 2 weeks, maybe even a month later, honestly, I get a call. I'm in LA. I get a call from my manager and my agent, and they're like, you got a call back. Like, they want you to test for this. And I was like, cool, which one? They're like, the Taylor Sheridan one. I was like, the one where I'm a mother? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, okay. I was like, are you all sure? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, they're going to fly you out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And I was like, what's in Jackson Hole, Wyoming? I've never been up north like that. I've only been to like New York and Washington, D.C. and that's about it. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I dragged my mom to go with me. Most beautiful town ever. The mountains, the scenery is so beautiful.
Oh, I bet.
But I tested with 12. It was 12 of us in total. Normally, my experience is normally 5 or less.
When you say test, you mean like you're testing scenes?
Yeah, it's like a camera test.
I see.
And so I was just like taken aback with how many people, and we all looked very different. And so I was just like, oh, this is an experience, like super cool. Sure enough, the first girl comes out and she's like, just so y'all know, you're reading with Taylor Sheridan. And I was like, okay. I was like, cool. At this point, I didn't have like a face to the name. Like I was like, I knew who he was, I respected him so much, just didn't know what he looked like.
Right,
and so I read with him, and we did a hefty amount of scenes. I think we had like 5 scenes in this. It was like my first 3 episodes that I was in, that I auditioned with. And I didn't expect to hear back. Didn't know what they were looking for. And so I just kind of did my thing, got my notes, did it again, step out of the room, got called in again, did what I did. And they told me, they were very, very clear, like, Taylor Sheridan takes a really long time to make a decision, so don't be waiting by the phone. And I was like, cool, I won't. I won't. And so I went on about my life. Sure enough, 2 days later, I got a call that they want me back in Jackson Hole to do a chemistry read with Jacob Laughlin.
That's amazing.
And when I got there, it was just me and this other girl. and the rest is history.
I understand you guys do a lot of production in North Texas.
Yes.
What is it like to be shooting the show and you're like shutting down streets in like Dallas and Fort Worth? Like, what does that feel like?
I mean, it's pretty surreal, and I just think it's so wonderful to be able to tell a Texas story and in Texas and shoot it in Texas, which is super cool. Most of my stuff in the first season was at Ariana's house.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really go anywhere like everybody else was. But I imagine it was really cool. I mean, they shut down one of my favorite restaurants. And I was like, I'm going to just go and hang out with them. They opened the bar for us when they wrapped. So it was fun.
That's funny. No spoilers, but what can we expect in season 2 for people who've really been
I mean,
following the
if you
show?
think the first season was heightened stakes, this season is even higher. First season was laying down the groundwork of what the oil industry is, probably educating people who probably have never dove in deep
How it all works.
and
Yeah,
everything.
right.
This next season is very much more of the connections with everybody and the human connections and the struggles that come with relationships, what you want, what you need, raising a baby. And so I'm super excited for people to watch it. We had so much fun making it. We just knew we knew the ropes, and so being able to go back into a show, we were all very comfortable and just excited for more, to read the scripts. And it was definitely a challenge to really get into the nitty-gritty of these characters.
What do you love most about your character?
Ooh, I mean, there's so much. I think she's a big representation of every woman in my life, every strong, powerful woman, and she just continues to show that this season even more so than ever.
Great. And last question is, what would you say to someone who really aspires to be an actor, and what advice do you have for them?
I feel like everybody's journey is very different. And I do believe that if nothing in the world will make you happy, and acting is the only thing that will fill that joy in your life, go for it, full force. Open the doors for yourself. I think that's the most important thing. There's so many filmmakers in Texas, especially. I started off doing student films and local projects, and I think that's the best connections, and we're all connected. That's the craziest part is to this day, the people that I was making student films with are now making it big too, and so we always have that group. And I think just stick together, know people, get to know people.
Great. Well, thank you so much for making time for us today.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.